Well, hello and welcome to I Love Gay today. And we're in San Francisco today. We're here with Tom LeNoble. How are you, Tom?
I'm terrific, Matt. It's great to be with you.
Well, I was so happy to be introduced to you through our mutual friend David Perry. And
Yes.
this is not the first time that he has introduced me to someone very interesting. And he and I won't say go way back, but semi way back. And I've really come to really appreciate and respect a lot of the folks that he's brought to the forefront.
He seems to know everybody.
He does. And so he connected us because I mean, I think there's a lot that you and I will be able to chat about as far as your history, your past, your business world. But it all comes together in a book that's just been released, My Life in Business Suits, Hospital Gowns, and High Heels. But I love the subtitle, so the subpart, in control, being controlled, and out of control.
Yes.
But the beginning parts, and when you're in control, you have an amazing corporate career. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, I do. I ran customer service for MCI, the company that broke up all the Bell companies for us to be able to dial one long distance. Then I was the head of customer service at Walmart.com in the early years.
Wow.
Then I ran global service operations for Palm, the Palm Pilot Trio people that are now part of HP. I was sitting at my desk one day and a recruiter called from a little company called Facebook that was just in colleges at the time. I thanked them and told them I had my dream job and hung up. And so a buddy called me and said, I referred you to Facebook and you didn't even talk to them. And I said, well, what's Facebook? Long story short, and it is a great story that's in the book. I interviewed with Mark Zuckerberg when he was 19 and went to Facebook and set up all of their customer operations, user operations, some other activities there. And I was old enough to be everyone's father.
Wow.
Then I was the chief support officer for a company that's now the backbone of the Geek Squad remote support.
Oh, yeah.
Was working at a dating site that Match.com bought, and I managed the merger. Had a consulting business. Boards would send me in for as the COO or the VP of HR with some perceived problem they had, which was never the problem. And then I fell in love, got married, and traveled the world.
Wow. And that have a feeling it's kind of brought us to where we're at today and what we're talking about. But you've in your book, I get a sense that you've really brought a lot of that experience together with the, the more enjoyable parts of your life that you've been living over the last few years.
Yes, yes. I like to say I retired being retired to be inspired. I knew I had more to give
Yep.
and more wisdom to share. So today I'm a coach, I'm an author, I'm a professional speaker. I have my own podcast, and I'm the CEO of the Academy for Coaching Excellence, a 22-year-old coaching academy who train coaches all around the world.
Wow.
And my book just brings a lot together of my life, starting out in a shack. We called it that I grew up in, where we didn't even have hot water or a refrigerator. We actually had an ice box.
Wow.
And about that part of my life leading up through um, the challenges that we all have growing up to some of the things in business suits, hospital gowns, and high heels. The purpose of the book for the reader, which is a memoir that crosses over into self-help,
Yeah.
is to help us understand that who we are today is the sum parts of all parts of our life.
Yeah.
And for some of us, we have parts of our life that we want to keep private, or we may feel shame for, or they feel like they're a little outrageous or somebody wouldn't understand. And to remember who you are today is all of those parts. In fact, if you hadn't had those parts, you likely wouldn't be the same person you are today.
Yeah. That's a very good point. But it seems like you brought a lot of that together. Not only, I mean, you brought it together in a way that not only have you come out with this book, but the idea of coaching, and it's just I think that's uh, huge, and it's also I believe it's relatively new in the grand scheme of things, right? Like maybe 20 or 30 years ago, I don't remember if I've ever heard of business coaches or life coaches, but it
Yes.
it seems like it's really come together in a way where it allows you to kind of bring the experience you talked about and those both in life and professionally, and kind of help other organizations or individuals with where they're at today.
Well, it's an $18 billion industry today, which is amazing, I think. But I took coaching in the late 90s and used it in my corporate career. Interestingly enough, we couldn't call it coaching because they thought you were, coaching the softball team,
Exactly.
but I called it employee development. But I used it. And what I love is I'm actually the CEO of the coaching academy
Yeah.
that teaches the same curriculum and the same methodology that I took back in those days before there was coaching academies or the International Coaching Federation or all the things we know today.
And how does the riskability factor into that?
Yeah, it's a tool I created that
Yeah.
lets you measure your level of risk. As
Okay.
you can imagine by just some of the things you've learned about me, I've taken a few risks in my life. I've learned a lot about resilience, and I've had to reinvent myself quite a few times.
Yeah.
And so I work with people, a lot of CEOs, executives, executive directors of nonprofits, all kinds of people actually, on these idea of how we can take risks and have resilience, which is more than just getting back up. It's how we grow from it.
Yeah.
And then how we reinvent ourselves, how we can use that in leadership, how we can use that in managing teams, and how we can use it in everyday life because we all get a challenge.
Yeah. Well, that's for the part with hospital gowns. That's the part of your book is that you've been living with challenges for most of your adult life. Yes.
I have. I've had two life-threatening illnesses. The first one I was told was terminal, and
Yeah.
I've lived with metastatic cancer the last 13 years, and I'm still here.
That's amazing. No, it's and what I find interesting though, I mean, in a lot of the work you're doing and so forth, is that it all ties, in my opinion, it ties together. You do a lot of public speaking, you're out there, but also you've got a podcast, which one could say it's more common nowadays, but I don't think so in the sense that you really know how to be able to you have a message, you have something to say, and you really have found some fantastic ways to really get that message out.
Yeah, I love my podcast. It's called
Yeah.
Opening Pathways. You can find it on all the major channels. And US Business News Magazine wrote it up, which was very, very humbling. But I interview either tech CEOs or founders or executive directors of nonprofits. But we talk about the usual introduction and ending and a little bit of where you can find me. But in the middle, we talk about things like hope and trust and values, which you can imagine are interesting conversations for CEOs and founders leading the latest and greatest AI companies and executive directors that are managing through the myriad of issues that are going on today in that world.
Yeah. No, this is great. I keep in all my notes, I keep my mind keeps going back to Walmart.com. And you don't know this, and it's very anecdotal, but it's funny because I had started in the world of online LGBT internet back in 1995. So we're starting out there, and I really believed in it. And as we started to create a website for the LGBT community, it really started to take off. And this was before Google and Yahoo and Amazon. And so I say all that because I used to tell folks, no, you really have to believe in this. There's going to be a point in time
Yeah.
when even Walmart is online. And people would look at me and say, nah, I don't see it. Can you,
I
it's,
remember when I started there, Walmart.com by Walmart was not even as big as a superstore, and we were like a gnat flying around. And now it's one of the hugest parts of their business. But you were a trailblazer back then, and we've had these technological things that have happened over the years.
yeah,
I watched one of the first faxes being sent, and I remember we all looked at it going like it was magic. And then, of course, we had email, which we all want to get away from as much as we can.
yeah,
Then the evolution of the internet. And of course, now we're looking at AI and these things that happen that I think build upon each other and grow. And there's some of the same reaction that happens is we're not going to survive it. It's going to take over our lives. And
yeah.
somehow we humans get through it and find a way to use it. But you were a blazer, Matt.
Well, thanks. I wasn't feeling like I was at the time, but it was just really funny because to me it was so obvious that every because Walmart was so strong in the real world, and I always thought it's so funny because they can't contemplate the world online and how that translates into the real world back then, and of course now it's online banking and travel and everything is so focused online, but at that
It's so
time,
true.
and I used to use
So true.
Walmart as my example for some weird reason, part of
Yeah,
your
well,
world.
I used to travel to Bentonville a lot for Walmart.com, and I'd spend a lot of time there. And I remember a conversation with Lee Scott, who was the president at the time, and I was expressing to him about what was going on in their contact center and there and the metrics they had, and he
Yeah.
started laughing. And I said, Lee, I don't think it's funny, that you're not answering customers' calls. And he said to me, Yeah, but we know. when they go in the store, they spend $49.13 or whatever the ticket was.
Yes.
So if they go in mad, we resolve it and they spend that $49.13. And I thought to myself, boy, do I have an interesting challenge to help them see that perhaps if they go in happy, what might happen. But it was interesting of the presence they had, still have, but certainly watching how Walmart.com became part of that in the early days. I'm really grateful to be part of it. It was fascinating the things I learned there.
Oh, I can just imagine. And and you retired and you brought us to where you're at today, but you also mentioned that you traveled the world a bit. And are you still doing that?
I haven't traveled as much except I go to Maui a lot
Oh,
since COVID, but it's back on my radar. I've been really fortunate that I went so many places, and I love visiting other cultures and getting with local people and eating local food. The tourist spots are secondary to me.
yeah.
And I've got New Zealand and Japan are high on my list for the next place that I might go to.
You totally should. I'm very fortunate. I'm married to a very travel focused husband. It's all about travel and eating everywhere we go around the world. And we've been to both of those. Our honeymoon was in New Zealand, and it's one of my favorite places. And I just got back from Japan last year, which is also just like the just I'm with you. I love experiencing those cultures there,
Yes.
and I think a lot of that comes back into the work that we do on a daily basis when we're back here in the what as they used to say stateside.
Yes, yes. It even happens to me when I come back from Maui. It's such a culture shock. When I'm there, I don't have to, there are no freeways. I don't have to look for parking meters. And I come back in the first day and a half, I'm sort of like driving around going, okay, calm down, right? Calm down. You don't have to participate. And it's kind of funny how things change when we get a little further away from home. But certainly when we go to places like I know going to India,
Oh,
watching how all this traffic comes together at a light. It's everything from bicycles
yeah.
to huge container trucks and everything in between. And as soon as the light changes, everybody goes at once. And all I did was close my eyes, imagining that, how is this even possible?
It's stressful sometimes. I know. I've been there. Oh, no, this is great. And I really look forward to since your book just came out, I haven't had a chance to fully read it, but I actually look forward to exactly to purchasing, reading your book. And we're going to have a link when we post this online. We're going to have a link to all of the, your website, social media, and where people can purchase that directly online as
Thank
well.
you. That's great. I really appreciate it. Getting such good reviews on the book. It made Amazon Best New Release in
Oh,
four categories the day after launch, which was a week ago today. So, and I'm getting some phone calls and comments that have been really made me feel really good. I had one guy that said, Tom, I'm on page 100. I can't get anything done that I need to do because I can't put this book down. So hopefully a lot of people feel that way.
I love that. Well, this is great. And I look forward to next time in San Francisco, hopefully having a chance to meet in the real world as well.
I would love that. Let's make it happen.
I would love that too. But thank you so much for being here with me.
Thank you, Matt. It was great.
Take care now.
Be well.